Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another episode, guys. And in today's video, Genesis chapter 39, we're making progress. We're making some big boy moves. So hey, without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah. So a little recap, guys. Chapter 39, I mean 38, was about Judah. Pretty much that whole chapter is about him and his life. Uh, he left his brothers and he went to move to Chizeb. Um, and he made his own life for himself. Uh, and so remember, he had three sons. Two of them died. Uh, his daughter-in-law, he told them, "I'll promise you, I'll give you my youngest one." He never did. She lied to him, and she slept with him, and he had a child with her. Um, and then she had twins, so named Perez and Zara. So that's the big things about those chapter guys. But today, 39. Let's get it. Now Joseph was taken down to Egypt. Remember, Joseph was one of Jacob's children, but it was his favorite child. And so, remember, Jacob is in Egypt because his brothers didn't like him and they wanted to kill him. Judah actually wanted to kill him. Reuben said, "No, let's put him down this throw him down this pit and just leave him. Let's let the wilderness take care of him." And while they went to go eat lunch, some Canaanites came in, took him, and then sold him to people in Egypt. And so they didn't know what to do, so they got his his dad made Jacob made his son a custom like little sweater you could think of or something like that. And they just killed a goat. They killed an animal. They soaked it in blood and they brought it back to their dad and said, "Look, you're Joseph. This is Joseph's because we think he's dead. If this is Joseph's," so they lied to him saying, "Look, Joseph's dead." Um, so here we are. So now we're going back to how Joseph is doing in slavery, I guess, because he got sold. So now Joseph was taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down here, who had brought him down there. Uh, so I think it was like some Maldonite got him. And then they sold him to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites went down to Egypt and sold him to the captain of the Pharaoh. So the Lord was with Joseph. So Yahweh, it's capital L. So Yahweh was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And it's also important now to remember Joseph. Um, his brothers never liked him, right? But one of the things that made him like him even they didn't like him even more was because Joseph was having dreams about all his brothers, even his mom and his dad, bowing down to him. That's one of the dreams, and then another dream, all his brothers were. Uh, he was pretty much their lord. Um, and so he's having these visions and it's kind of giving us as the viewer looking in, okay, Joseph is the one who's the next one for his, the prophecy, not any of the not the oldest son, not any of the other one. It's Joseph. And so he told his brothers and his dad the dreams that he's having, and they looked at and they got mad at him. um they're like, "What are you talking about?" So, and it's important to know that Joseph is the Lord's with Joseph, and it tells us that here. So it says, and his master saw that the Lord was with him. So whenever he was at his master's house, Fetofar, uh, you know, Fotafir saw that, this guy that I just bought, everything's in his favor. Could be, he didn't know it right at the time, but everything good that's happening to him, he probably told him to do some tasks, and he successfully did them. He's accomplishing the things that he needs to do, and it says right here, and his master saw that, right, and his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he had did to prosper in his hand. So he's pretty much saying, like, look, every task, everything that I told him to do, he did it like 10 plus. Everything was perfect. And he saw that. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. So he's like, you know what, look, if this guy, everything he touches and everything he does is successful, I'm going to make him, give him some tasks, and I'm going to make him overseer of my house and put him in charge of all that he had. So I could imagine this captain of the guard, this, it actually has a name, Fotafar. He has a big house, and he has servants. He has men servants, women servants. Uh, he's a very wealthy and rich man. It's like a businessman too. And he just said, "Look, Joseph, take in charge of everything. When we're supposed to get shipment for grain, where we're gonna buy food at, where we're gonna do uh, my the task I have for my other slaves. They need to work on the land, you could think of like agriculture, stuff like that. Um, so he put him in charge of all that. He's pretty much like the construction manager. I kind of see it. Um, so from that time, he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had. And the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and field. So he's saying, like, from the time that he made him, you can think of like the person who's in charge of everything. The Lord blessed Potiphar for the sake of Joseph, meaning as in like, I gave you good stuff, I gave you fortune because of Joseph. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and having him, he had no concern for anything but the food which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome and good looking. He was a Chad. And after a time, his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph and said, "Lie with me." So she's making moves. She's making moves, and she wants him to sleep with him. She told him, Potiphar's wife said, "Joseph, lie with me." But he refused. Joseph refused, and he said to his master's wife, "Lo," and he's like, "No. Having me, my master, has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my hand. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except yourself, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Based. I'm gonna have to repeat that. He said, "No, having me, my master, has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my hand." He's saying, look, no, I don't have any concern with anybody in this house. I'm in good standing, and on top of that, he made me in charge of everything that comes into this house. I have an important role here. He respects me. I respect him. People respect me. It says, he is not greater in this house than I am. So he's saying, look, I'm not more important than this guy. This is his house. And nor has he kept back anything from me except yourself. So he's saying, look, everything I ever wanted, he gave it to me. If I want to go down to the street to go get a burger, they didn't have burgers at the time. That's a bad example. If I wanted to go down to the Nile River to take a shower, if I wanted to take a day off to go swimming, if I wanted to be able to eat some type of food, if I wanted to be able to, whatever it is, he has not stopped me from anything except having you because you're his wife. So he's saying, look, this guy respects me. This guy likes me. Why am I going to do something bad to him? And then he said, how then, and on top of that, for this statement, he said, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it's actually funny because, not funny, but it's interesting because this word wickedness has been used before when we talk about, like, for example, Judah had 3 sons. His first son, Ed, I think it was like last chapter, if you don't remember, Ed, the Lord killed him because he was a wicked man. Remember, he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, or it might have been Saddam, one of those. Way back in chapter 18, chapter 19. It might have been like chapter 18 through like 22, which one of those, because the city was very wicked. So this word wicked obviously means evil. It means bad. It's not anything good. But we now kind of have an example of, because before it was just the city of Saddam was wicked, so I need to destroy it. Erd was a very wicked man, so the Lord killed him. So I'm just like, okay, well, what's the wicked? I know wicked's bad, but in what type of context are we dealing with? Are we talking about murdering people? Obviously, that murdering people is bad, but what I'm talking about, what wickedness would you have to do in this in the sight of the Lord for him to say, I'm going to destroy this entire city. I'm going to go kill this man, or not kill this man, but I'm going to put this man to death. I guess that is killing too. But my point is that I guess I can kind of see, like, as the first example of what would wickedness be. And, boom, what's one of them? Adultery. Lying with another man's wife. A woman lying with another man. And he said, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So it kind of just goes to show, one of the things how the Lord destroyed that city, Saddam, was because people were probably just having sex and committing adultery, on top of a bunch of other things. But Yeah. Um, and let's look up the Hebrew word for this. Let's go to verse 9. 39. Verse 9, I think. Yes. Let's look up the Hebrew word for this for wickedness. Wickedness. Oh, hold on. Bear with me. Let's look this up. 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 Let's look this up together. This is the Hebrew word meaning in English. So it's haraha. Haraha. Translate to English as the evil, the bad, the harm, the calamity, the wickedness. So if you ever want to know what wickedness is in Hebrew, it's haraha. Haraha. So, all right, we'll continue on. Let's go. So it says, and although she spoke to Joseph day after day, she was continuing, lie with me, have sex with me, you know, see my nakedness, right? He would not listen to her, to lie with her or to be with her. So we're telling her, look, like, no. She caught him by his garment. So I guess after a couple days or maybe a couple weeks, she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out the house. So I was reading this and I was just like, I was trying to put it together because it's like she caught him in his garment. Garment is like a piece of clothes. It's like an attire. It's like something that you'd wear. You know, we can look it up. Garment. Garment. Clothes. But I mean, what's like an example? Let's look at images if it loads up. Yeah. See, this is I should have done a better look up. It's whatever. It's whatever. We'll just go back. So yeah, but we obviously know garment is like a piece of clothes, or maybe he probably had a uniform that he'd wear for Potiphar. But she caught him by his garment. So she caught him by maybe he was changing. You know, he was maybe one day he was changing and he was gonna put it on, and she caught him putting on his garment or putting on one of his garments. She said, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand. So he was probably changing. He was probably going to put it on. She saw that he was naked. She said, lie with me. And he just put it in her hand. He probably got scared. Right? He's like, lie. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. So he probably got scared, just put it in her hand and ran away. He should have put it on the floor or whatever, but yeah. So, and when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called to the men of the house. And when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called to the men of her household and said to them, oh, hold on. Actually, I missed an entire verse. So let's go back. But one day when he went into the house to do his work and none of the men of the house were there in the house, she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled out and got out of the house. So there's that one important distinction. I'm not going to edit out that last part. I'm going to just keep it rolling. But yeah, that's that one verse that we missed out. It's whenever all the men were outside the house and it was just him and her, she used that opportunity. She used that chance to try to manipulate him, to try to be able to deceive him. So whenever he fled, she had his garments, and she called to the men of her household and said to them, see, he has brought among us a Hebrew to insult us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. So that when I was reading that verse, I was like, one, Fatifar's wife, one is a hoe, right? Two, a lying woman, and three, out of all of that, right? She's actively going against her husband and insulting him because she's like, she called to the men of her household, right? She told all the guys that were outside, guys, look, see, he has brought us a Hebrew, meaning as in my husband. He, not, she did say, look, my husband brought a Hebrew It's like, look, that guy over there, he brought us a Hebrew, and she's like questioning his judgment, and you could tell she obviously didn't like the Hebrews. She probably only liked the Egyptians, but I don't know. When I read that, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like, nah, out of all that, you're not even on your husband's team either. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be on your husband's team because you're out there wanting to lie with another man, but I don't know. When I saw like your husband brought in one of a slave, and he's a Hebrew, and you probably did you wanted him to lie with you, to have sex with you, just so you could say, look, my dumbass husband brought over a Hebrew. Look at him, ha ha ha. Let's laugh at him. It's like, come on. But yeah, we'll continue on. So see, he has brought among us a Hebrew to insult us. He came in to me to lie with me. So he came in to have sex with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment with me and fled and got out of the house. So many guys are like, look, when the moment I started crying and I was like, guys, help me, he got scared. He threw his stuff in my hand and he just ran away. Then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home. So she kept the garment until Potiphar came home. And she told him the same story, saying, the Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us came in to me to insult me. But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment with me and fled out of the house. So when his master, Potiphar, heard the words which his wife spoke to him, quote, this is the way your servant treated me. So he came home, and when his wife told him, is this the way your servant treated me? Is this the guy who's the head of your house? Is this the guy who you put in charge of everything that comes into this house, of all the responsibilities, and how much you respect him and how much you allow him to do things compared to other slaves you wouldn't let him do? This is the way your servant treats me? His anger was kindled. So his anger was it's like the I'm pretty sure kindled means like no, yeah, his anger was kindled, meaning as like his anger was burning inside him. Because she's manipulating him. She's trying to say the story like she's what's the word? Provoking him. She's instigating it. She's instigating it to a higher degree. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, remember that, and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So whenever he got put into the prison, there's probably like a warden, right? And the Lord obviously was with Joseph. He loved Joseph. He found him favor in his sight, and everything that he touched, everything that he did, it was good, it was well, everything was blessed, you could say. And the game warden saw that, and so the game warden liked Joseph. It's probably like, man, this guy has good luck, or this guy has good, something with him. The Lord's with him, and that's what that means. Like, you can think of the game warden. The game warden saw Joseph in a good light, and it was cool with Joseph. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's care all the prisoners who were in the prison. And whatever was done there, he was the doer of. So meaning as in like, the game warden made sure Joseph was okay, and all the prisoners who were with him, and everything that was good, everything that was done in the prison was because of Joseph. He was probably saying, look, let's bring the guys extra stuff, or let's bring the guys, I don't know you can name any example. And so it says, the keeper of the prison paid no heed to anything that was in Joseph's care. I mean, look, I actually had that, like, paid no heed. Oh, I think meaning like he didn't like bother too much or being nosy. Like, what is heeding definition? Heeding definition. Yeah, pay attention to it, taking stuff. So pretty much, the keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's care. Meaning, as in like, look, you're cool with me, I'm cool with you, I like you. I see the Lord's with you. Anything that you touch or anything that you do, I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna provoke you. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go up there and say, "Why are you doing that in my prison?" Whatever you do, it's you. You're fine, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made him prosper. So, yeah. So, and I think that's the end of the chapter. Um, yeah. So now we get to figure out what happened with Joseph. And it turns out that everything was well when he was in Potiphar's house. But then Potiphar's wife, that deceiving, evil, lying woman, put him in prison, and probably in a bad prison too, a prison that sucked because he was in the king's prison. So, um, and obviously at that time, Egypt, and just like anywhere in the past, wasn't a very good prison to be in. But the game warden saw that the Lord was with him, showed him love, and blessed him, and so everything that Joseph touched was good. And he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna have any problems with you, man. I see that the Lord's with you. Everything you want to do, you can do it. You're not gonna hear anything out of me. Um, so let's see what happens in chapter 40, guys. Hope you guys like it. Enjoy it. Um, any questions, comments, thoughts? Just leave it down below. And hope you guys have a good day. Peace.